Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chips. This week we have a takeover show with DTS. So this is what's coming up in today's show. However, Paul and myself are joined by the UK sales manager, Mr. Ian Horton. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Thank you, Lyndsey. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, okay, DTS, for anybody who doesn't know enough about the company, just give us a little bit of an overview of who DTS are, where you're based, and how many people are there.
DTS were established in 2005 by our present directors, Andrew Bailey and Gary Sanderson. We're based out of our headquarters up in Chorley, Lancashire, which is where we've got a showroom with some of our machines in there. And basically we are 20 plus size of company. Majority of those made up of service engineers who are based around the country.
Okay.
What brands do you supply?
Our core product originally in 2005 was the Correa. But what we identified within a couple of years was that these machines are very large machines. So we then took on Johnford, which gives us a range of machines from 850mm table up to 3 metres as a VMC.
Are they just verticals?
These are just verticals or double column machines as well. But also we've got the lathe from Johnford, which gives us obviously the entry into the lathe requirements.
That's a big lathe, isn't it?
These are big boxway lathes and machining centres. The Johnford capable, even the smallest Johnford at 850mm in the X, is capable of about 1,400 kilograms on the table.
Is that unusual for a machine of that size?
That is unusual.
Seems a lot of weight.
That is unusual for a machine of this size, yeah, and it does give us that option at that size of machine for people who are doing predominantly die and mould, which is where really our main industry is. It does give us the upper hand against the competition.
That's like pure medium that we went to.
Yes, yes. Oh, well, I was going to say, you know, it's not just one sole industry that you're covering though, because when you're talking about the bigger machines, what other industries are you heading towards?
Yeah, we've also got Honor Seiki vertical turning lathes, so that gives us a good range of vertical turning lathes up to sort of 4 metres in diameter, where we go into aerospace, power generation. Still, we've got die and mould industry as well. When we talk about, we've got the Pro Design Litz machine, which is a 5-axis machining centre, available from 400mm up to 1.2 metres 5-axis on full trunnion.
Those vertical lathes from Honor, is there a big market for a machine of that size? Because I know CMS Sepcore, we looked at the installation of a machine there. That's huge, isn't it? But is there a lot of uptake in that size of machine? Yeah,
we are seeing a lot of inquiries at the moment for the vertical turning lathes, more so than probably some of the other machines we do at the moment. Yeah, so there seems to be.
Is that for a specific industry?
It is, yeah, more so on the aerospace side of things.
Because they have milling function as well, correct? It's not. We talk about vertical borers, and you just kind of think of boring, but these days the machines are so sophisticated, aren't they? They're multi-function machines.
That's true. Yeah, there is live tooling on the machines as well, if required as an option.
And do they come with, like, is it the double ram where you have the option of 2 rams?
You can have double ram on these machines. We are seeing some interest in that at the moment, but it tends to be more just a single ram at the moment that we're seeing most of the interest in.
Have you seen, I don't know whether you've seen the Pro Design videos that we've done, the 5-axis, they're pretty sturdy machines as well, aren't they? Are you having a lot of success with that range?
Yes, we are having a lot of success. We are seeing, which I think is quite unusual in the marketplace at the moment, larger machine, the 1.2 metre machine, rather than the smaller size. And I think that's probably because people come to DTS because of where we stand in the industry with the large machines that we do, known for obviously having the amount of weight that they have on the table. I think that's probably why we're seeing that more as opposed to the smaller type.
Talking about larger machines, we're going to come on to Correa. Are there any other brands that we haven't maybe covered? We've got Litz, we've got Johnford. Are there any other brands that we haven't covered?
No, there are 4 main brands that we covered.
4 main brands that you've covered. So Correa.
Yes.
Big machines, huge machines, and I know you've recently been out to Spain. We'll come on to that in a moment. But what are the machines that Correa are providing to the industry?
Again, it tends to be power generation, die and mould industry that we really put these machines into. We start off with the minimum of a 2 metre bed in the X-axis, but we can go up to infinite in the X-axis realistically. As we'll see later, I think some of the machines in the factory at the moment are over 20 metres long, but we have done machines around the world which are up to 100 metres, and it can go even bigger than that if we need to.
And we're talking about bed mills, travelling column machines, multi-axis machines, full 5-axis machining, as well as 3+.
Correct, yeah. With full head changes as well, so we can have several different heads on the machines for several different applications. Several of the heads are only patented by Correa, so it does give us the advantage there.
I mean, you look at the machine that we looked at here. This was a Norma, wasn't it, that we looked at? It was great to see these machines with no guarding around them, because you can see the size of the casting.
Yes.
You can also interrogate the guys there, like I did with you,
Yes,
and
yep.
Javier, about the construction, how the RAM works, how you get the most stability out of a build of a machine, which really is what the Norma's about, isn't it? It's about heavy duty.
The Norma is a very robust, medium-sized machine, I would call it, from Correa. We do another machine which is slightly smaller than that, which is the Experta, which we've also seen, but it does go up to much larger than this. But yeah, as a medium-sized machine tool, these are very robust machines.
But that's a fixed bed. The Norma is a fixed bed. This particular model here, isn't it?
No, this is the bed type. So this is the Norma.
Excuse me. Yeah.
The Norma L is actually a fixed bed, so it's a travelling column machine.
And what's the difference between the L and the Norma? What's the advantage for going for one over the other?
The main advantage is we're restricted in the table size on the Norma, because obviously it's the table that's moving. It's also a slight restriction in weight that we can have on the machine, whereas the Norma L, basically we can go up to, I think it's 20 metres in the x-axis on that machine, and put more weight onto the table.
And is there an advantage with having the column moving as well? Is it faster? Is there more rigidity, or is there less rigidity?
There's more rigidity in having the column moving, and it does go slightly faster in the x-axis and the y-axis.
Because then, looking at some of these other machines here, I spoke to Pedro. This machine is like a gantry style machine, isn't it? This is popular for you in the UK too, and why is that?
These are a very good seller in the UK. This is the Fox machine, which is actually a bridge type machine. Again, several different heads, massively in the die and mould industry. Lots of these machines installed in a different disguise, because the Fox is actually a relatively new model. And what they've done is they've obviously moved the technology forward on these machines. So we have got literally hundreds of these machines installed in the UK, and doing a very good job, and still standing the test of time, because some of those machines are, they've got a few years on them.
And just to tell people that in a minute we'll be cutting to a piece where myself and Ian were at the factory, and you want to stick around for that.
Ian, can you tell me why you think Correa stands out as a company?
I see us in the industry, we are very robust machine tools. We've got an exceptionally good service, not just in the UK from ourselves, but also the support we get from Correa. So I see that we see ourselves more towards the top end of the industry, but exceptionally competitively priced.
Right. And you'd been talking about the base of the machines, but what's so unique about the heads of a lot of the machines?
I think, as I touched on, several of the heads are actually patented by Correa, and it's a worldwide patent. So we have the UAD head, which is a 0.02 indexing head with twin earth couplings at the front and the back. So it's not a full 5-axis, but what it gives us is massive rigidity. We also have the OAD, which is an orthogonal head, so it allows us to give negative angles, so we can go past the job and then cut back on itself.
Okay.
And are we saying if you maybe went to another manufacturer of this type of machine, that you wouldn't be able to be offered a similar head?
You could be offered a similar head, but the majority of the machine tool companies where we compete against this have to go with like a brake on the axis, whereas ours is actually mechanical coupling that comes together in the front and the back. So what it allows us to do is basically keep repeating the position of the machine, whereas with the brake, after heavy cutting, it can move slightly, so you can sometimes find that you don't quite get the accuracy.
And I think you weren't party to this, Lyndsey, but when we were at the factory, you were talking about a recent installation or an order that you'd won from a customer where you'd done a trial against a competitor's machine, and you'd held a certain tolerance on the bore. Just tell us for our viewers.
Yeah, basically we machined an angle, a 30-degree angle, in a piece of I'm not sure what the steel was, but it was quite hard steel. We machined the angle. We then U-drilled and tapped on the angle. We then moved the machine to its furthest positions, came back and then re-tapped with a rigid tap in exactly the same place, and then using a plug gauge, obviously put it in and took it out again. We asked our customer to ask the competition to do the similar thing, and they recut the thread. So it was obviously at a tolerance on the thread.
Yeah. So when they went to put their bolt in
It
didn't go in.
It was all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy here, Lyndsey, Javier, brilliantly technical, a real wordsmith, even though he's Spanish. I mean, he talks in various different languages.
Thesaurus.
Perhaps that was the word I was looking for. He's actually got a message for you, and we're going to cut to that now.
Lyndsey, I wish all the best. En español, te deseo lo mejor.
Oh, I love a Spanish man. Don't tell Matt that.
Just for you. It was a fantastic trip. I mean, I think as part of my highlights, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about this, Ian, for our viewers as well, because as my highlights, size is so important, isn't it? And this has to go to show that the extent of machines that you manufacture and supply. And you've actually got these types of machines installed in the UK market, haven't you?
We have got these machines in the UK market. This machine is probably a little bit bigger than what we have got, but we've got this similar style to this. This is the Versa MW. It's a gantry machine with a W axis, obviously with the Z axis. So we've got 4.5 meters of travel in the Z axis in effect. Again, this machine can go in the X axis as long as you want it. The only restriction we do have on the machine is realistically the height of the factory. So we go up to 7 meters in the Z axis.
And who is going to be buying machines like this here? Because it's so, it's
Specific.
dedicated to it.
Without saying too much, it is a specific industry that they go into. I don't really want to disclose where we've got them in. But yeah, it is a very specific industry for what we're looking to do.
And I think if you saw the extent of the machines, I said when you were there, the size of the factories, all the beds being hand scraped, the spindles being put together, it is extremely impressive, and we'll cut to that montage very shortly. Another highlight had to be our cameraman. The night before we went to, we flew out in the morning. Unfortunately, he had a bit of an issue with his hotel and he had to sleep in his van, didn't he? Actually, he had very tired eyes for the trip that followed. But yeah, it was a fantastic trip, and in fact, that's a good point to actually cut to the montage of what we did in Spain.
MTD on location.
So Ian, factory number 1 here in Spain for Correa. We're at the Hypatia factory. What machines do they make here?
Made here are the Experta, the Norma and the Norma L.
Okay, great thing that stands out straight away, 5-year warranty. Is that applicable for all models?
That's applicable across all the machines in the Correa range.
Okay, let's go and have a look. So machine number 1, Ian, what have we got here?
This is the Norma L60 travelling column machine.
And with it being a travelling column, what's the advantage to that?
Main advantage of the machine is with the travelling column is the fact that we can go up to 8 metres in the X-axis.
And I was also thinking on the fact that you can put more weight on the table because the table's not actually moving, is it?
Of course, because it's not moving, we can go up to a much higher weight.
Now I noticed we've got a 90-degree angle here on the head. What sort of heads do you offer on these Norma L machines?
There are 5 different types of head on this machine. The head we have on here at the moment is a UDG head, which is a 0.2 indexing head.
So this is the Experta, Ian. Now this looks like a significantly smaller machine, but does it come bigger than this?
It does, yes. It comes up to a 4.5 metre bed.
And why are you going to buy one of these as opposed to something like the Norma L that we just looked at?
Well, this is about a bed type machine, so it is a slightly different configuration. But realistically, it comes down to cost.
Because when you say this is a bed type machine, so the other machine was a travelling column. Now the movement here is happening on the bed, isn't it?
That's correct. It is the bed that moves. In this facility here, this is where we machine all of our components. So basically from raw castings through to the finished machine and grinding. And as you can see on this machine, we're machining the Norma base from the machines we saw yesterday.
And they're actually your machines, the Correa machines, aren't they?
These are our machines. They're actually they were prototypes originally. So as the machine's going through its life, we can obviously monitor it and now make improvements where we see that.
Oh, okay, so this would have been the first FPM machine, for example.
This is the first FPM machine, yeah, and then further up the shop we've got a Versa MW.
And I suppose that enables you then, if when the machine's being used, there are things you could modify to make it better when you build the new machines, that's what you do.
That's correct, and as you'll see later on, that's what we've done on some of the other models.
So what machine have we got here, Ian, and what are they actually doing to it?
This is a Fox machine. It's a double column bridge type machine. Obviously at the moment it's in assembly, so we're just, by the looks of it, we're clocking in the head at the moment.
Well, how big do the Fox range go? What's the extent of the range?
This machine in this configuration goes up to 8 metres in the X-axis, 2.5 in the Y-axis and 1.5 in the Z.
We've got here, this is a base of a machine, or is this the column of a machine?
This is actually the gantry of the machine, so on top at the moment is the saddle, which obviously the ram will sit on.
You can see you've got a huge ball screw on there, 4 supports on the top and the bottom.
Yeah, and also I think it's important to say the oversized linear ways as well on there. This machine is an Axia column floor type machine.
It looks to me like we've just got a huge column. There's no table. There's no bed on the machine. How's it all work?
It can actually be bought with without the table there, but most customers obviously do put a table and either mount it direct to the floor or will sink it into the floor.
Now this is interesting, Ian. This is a slightly different configured machine. What is it?
This is a HVM 65.
And you've got here, instead of the kind of traditional what we've seen earlier, like column and a bed, you've got a column and a bed, but you've got another casting in the middle, so it's a 3-piece.
That's correct, yeah. What it allows us to do is we've got 6.5 metres on the X-axis on this, but because we don't necessarily want to go so high, this machine actually only goes up to 2.5 metres in the Z-axis.
And this has got to be the jewel in the crown, isn't it? This is some machine.
Yeah, this is one of our exceptionally large machines. This is the Versa MW gantry type machine.
So what's the extent? How big does this machine go?
This actual machine is a 17.5 metre in the X-axis. We've got 7.8 metres in the Y-axis, 2 metres in the Z-axis with a further 2.5 metres in the W-axis.
So that means total, call it that Z is going to be over 4 metres?
Over 4.5 metres, yeah.
Are you going to sell one of these in the UK? And is there a market for this size of machine? I mean, it's absolutely huge.
There is a certain market for this type of machine in the UK, yes.
Wow, I mean, what an impressive facility.
I would highly recommend any engineer to go and visit Spain. I mean, we don't have many manufacturing plants in the UK that build machine tools, and certainly very unusually like this. Covers a huge area. Everything is to be seen, as I said earlier, from the manufacture of the spindles to the columns being put together, the guideways being scraped, even down to the assemblies, the painting and everything. Yeah. It really is impressive.
He's really impressed, isn't he?
Yeah, and we're more
The
than
tapas isn't bad either.
The tapas is very good. We're more than happy to take customers over there, engineers who want to go and look at the products. We're more than happy to take them over there and see it, and also to invite them to our showroom up in Chorley.
And you know, to almost conclude this piece as well, I know you've got something you want to mention, Lyndsey, but when you go and visit engineers in the UK, there are so many Correa machines that are 2 to 20 years old, 25 years old, still in operation. And you sometimes might not even know where those machines are because they go through the used dealer network. They're so reliable that you don't get the call to say they're broke down. You might walk in somewhere and go, they've got a Correa machine.
This is true, and it does happen when you're going into new customers that they've actually already got the machine, but we weren't aware of it because it has been sold on second hand, yes.
Can't really get a better review than that one, can you? Just to finish off, Ian, thank you for today. But any events that are coming up that we can see the machines at, UK or Europe or anywhere?
Yeah, obviously we're at EMO with Correa, so it will be a Correa stand at EMO, but DTS will be represented there. And also we've obviously got MAC coming up, which is a DTS stand supported by Correa, where we will have a machine on the stand as well.
Right, X-demos or any kind of deals that you've got?
We've got deals on stock machines at the moment. We've got several stock Correa machines. We've got stock Litz machines. And I think importantly, although it's not in the country at the moment, we've got stock Johnford 1600, which has actually got a Y-axis of 1100 millimetres. So that's quite a unique for a VMC to have that size of Y-axis on it. So yeah, that's coming over in stock.
Is that straight vertical machine, 3-axis vertical machine?
Vertical machine.
1100 in the Y-axis?
1100 in the Y-axis.
And what sort of weight can you take on the table on that? Because you mentioned earlier about
that is actually over 2,000 kilograms. So it can take it's a big machine. It is a big machine in a vertical machining centre.
And I think Johnford's the other one. You go in factories again. You must have had this since you've been at the company. You go in places, Johnford machining centre. You think, didn't realise you had one. Again, gone through the used dealer network.
Yep.
Still in operation and still doing the things that you've obviously
very
mentioned,
large, very robust machines.
Well, I'm going to head over in just a moment to see Andy Bailey, we're going to be talking about the service department for DTS. However, before you go, Ian, I've got a mug for you.
Brilliant.
What's your favourite drink?
It'd be tea in that one, I think.
No,
or Rosie Lee, as Andy might say.
Yeah, okay, then. Well, here you go. Here's your mug for you, Rosie.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
You weren't drinking tea while we were away.
It all comes out now.
It certainly does.
Technical Corner.
So, Andy, welcome to the show. Andy Bailey, the Service Director of DTS. But I've got you a Swarf and Chips mug because you like your cups of Rosie Lee.
Rosie Lee, is it clean? Yes, we're okay. We can carry on.
All right. Okay, can you give us an understanding of the Service Department for DTS?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, we've got our OEM base, Correa, Johnford, Lyndsey, Honor Seiki. We've been going for 25 years as a service department on and off. So basically, what we wanted to do was bring our experience to the marketplace, because we realised that when we were going into customers that they were struggling to get support for their existing OEM products, and they liked what we did. So we just took our service engineers, our service engineer team that we've got with all the experience that we've got. We know Hyde 9 Control, Siemens, Fanuc, etc, etc, etc. So we technically know how to support these machines. We can interrogate them, we can understand what's going wrong, so we can quickly sort out the problems and ultimately give them a professional response, a quick response, which everybody likes.
It's what everyone wants. You want to keep the spindles turning,
Spindles
as we
turning.
often say.
Spindles turning.
When you say we, who, what's the size of the team? Who are you? Are they ex-engineers who are working on the team? Give us a little bit of a...
There's an office-based team, which are all time-served people, time-served engineers who have been on the road, understand what the customer requires, what the machines can do, how to support them. You've got 12 engineers in a van, strategically placed around the UK mainland to get to customers as quickly as they can. So a phone call will generate the initial inquiry. If our technical team can't help them on the phone, and we will try and help people on the phone, we'll try and solve the machine problem and get them going, keep the spindle turning, as you like to use. And if they can't, then ultimately the team are there to respond as quickly as possible, same day, as quickly as we can, and ultimately, the customer likes that kind of response.
Now, from the show already, I've learned, speaking to Ian, you've got a lot of people who have older machines as well, brand new. Are you doing preventative maintenance contracts? How is it all working?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if we've got a breakdown, we've got to respond, and that's what people want. But, prevention is better than cure. We have preventative programs in place. We ultimately follow the structure that is required to prevent a machine from going down. Apart from your oils, greases, we also do ball bar check-in as well. We can do all kinds of checks on machines, vibration analysis, things like that, which basically help prevent things from going wrong. So yeah, we're there. We obviously have service contracts, SLAs, service level agreements, so we can give a program response, plus also we can give discounts, obviously, if people have got service contracts in place.
Yes.
Which then gives them discounts on service hours rates, gives us discounts on actual service parts. We hold a lot of service stock as well, so we've got drives, service exchange drives, we've got our own workshops where we repair drives down to electronic board level, so on and so forth. So we're doing as much as we can to keep machines running. We can repair a ball screw, we can replace a ball screw, all standard products that we can replace electronically, etc, etc.
So it sounds fabulous, to be fair. You're really, really supportive. I'm going to be cheeky though. Are your rates competitive?
We're always better than OEM prices by a long, long way. And starting from a base price, we're always cheaper and also more cost effective, but also with SLA contracts in place, they can get even more benefits. So they're doing, it's a win-win situation all round. Response, everything.
Well, it sounds like you've got the manpower. It sounds like you've certainly got the intelligence as well. So what's the future for DTS and your department, your service department?
We've grown, always will grow. We've always going to support in our OEM products, which we're required to do by, by the manufacturers. But at the end of the day, we will become the biggest service department in the country. It's as simple as that.
I like your confidence. Well, you can go and enjoy your Rosalie now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this week's Takeover show with DTS. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you want to watch any previous episodes, click on the links here. And as we always say, keep those spindles turning.